You're listening to the Storytime Podcast.
The value of a personal brand, especially when it comes to the real estate industry. We're super excited for this episode. We have Oliver Fernandez. Oliver is a construction business owner and real estate investor. He successfully completed over $80 million worth of construction and is invested in $250 million in real estate. Oliver, before we started the podcast, we were talking about teams, making sure that you have the right team. How important is it when you're building even your own personal brand, building that company brand? How important is that you have a team and people that you can trust?
Such a good question, because when I first started out, I always wanted to do everything on my own. And there was a reason why I wanted to do everything on my own, because I didn't really have the resource to hire people. So I would do things on my own. And like, once you get to a certain level or a certain point, like, you don't have any more capacity. So the only way you can continue to grow and scale is by having a team. So having a team and developing a team is like the most important skill set in having a big business that really does big things, because you can't do it all on your own. And you don't want to do it all on your own, honestly, because there's only 24 hours in a day. And it's like way too stressful.
And I love that you mentioned team, man. So we got introduced to you by Cardone Ventures. It kind of feels like yesterday. Things are just going by so fast, and we post going out daily. And you mentioned team, and it's kind of hard. Before we get into personal branding, guys, I just want to talk about this. It's kind of hard to like trust another company to manage your own personal brand, because I get it, right? Like I even have our company posting stuff for us, and it's like it's hard to trust that with another company. What has helped you as you're building your personal brand online gain trust from, let's say, just other companies or partners trying to help you really show the value of your personal branding?
Well, that's another great question. When you're doing anything with anybody else beside yourself, there's always going to be a process of like learning and growing and adjusting and tweaking. And I mean, when you really think about it, you're doing that when you're by yourself as well. Like no one's perfect. So like you're learning, you're growing, you're adjusting, you're tweaking, but it's happening probably at a faster clip than when you're doing it with other people. But you can go much faster by yourself, but you can go much farther with other people. So I think when you have that understanding, having another partner, and then both people having the commitment to getting better and changing and adjusting and doing things differently in the future is the ingredient that is needed. Because anything can be solved. You just need to be able to, work through it and both all be committed to making it all happen. And that's what we've done with you guys. I mean, when we first started, I threw a bunch of stuff at you and you guys were getting it done. But then I was like, hey, I want to tweak this. I want to change the way this emoji looks. I want to change the way I'm being presented in this on this specific image. And you guys made those adjustments. And the thing that helped make those adjustments was I wasn't upset that you guys didn't already do that from the very beginning. I was grateful that you posted it and got my brand out there. And then I knew that like we would just continue to keep adjusting and getting better over time.
And you mentioned earlier when you started the podcast, you said a lot of the stuff was on yourself. And this is just an assumption, but because you built this personal brand as like a good human being, because you weren't posting a lot on social media before you started working with us. So a lot of that is like in-person events, right? And networking. How has, other than social, we'll get into that, but other than social media, like how have you built your personal brand in person? And what does that mean to you? What is your personal brand when you're meeting these people and you're partnering up with like real estate investors? Like how have you developed that in real life?
So these are all really deep questions, and I really appreciate you asking them, because it gets me an opportunity to like really think through this stuff and like really get clear on like why I do what I do. So in person, I've always been a big proponent of do everything you say you're going to do. And the reason why I was a big proponent of that is because it was literally instilled in me as a kid growing up. Like when my dad would tell me to go, clean up something or go do something or go move something, like he expected it to be done, and if it wasn't done, there was going to be a price to be paid, whether it was like, yeah. So it's from meeting people in person. I'm a person that does everything that I say I'm going to do, and when you do that over time, people build trust in you, and that's how I've always come off as a personal brand in person. Obviously, using social media has been able to help multiply that and build that trust in other people, much that I don't even know, like that are all over the world, which is actually something that I'm getting used to, but not really I didn't really understand the power of it.
Yeah. And the thing that I love about your social media, man, like there's a lot of people on social that they go and they flaunt all their accomplishments. They're like, oh, look at me, look at this. I really don't see that from you. All I see from your social media is just education and educating your audience. Of course, you want to like talk about your family, but that's different from like accomplishments. Like to me, when I think of Oliver, I think of like this humble human being that is a good person and that gets stuff done. And that's, we've never met in person. That's from social media and watching your videos. And that just shows how powerful, like building your personal brand on social too really helps. Mm-hmm. Tom, if you want to go ahead, I think I got some deep questions. You might have a couple more.
Yeah, for sure. Well, oh, excuse me. Sorry, my voice. From hearing what you've said so far, and I kind of want to go back a little bit to, we were talking about trust a little earlier. Do you think what do you think is the best way to build that trust over social media? Because I feel like it's a little bit different in person. But what's your experience with kind of, getting your audience to trust you? How do you effectively do that?
So I'm a newbie at this, and I'm not saying I know everything, but I do know that if you show up and you continue to be consistent over time, that's how you build trust with your kids. That's how you build trust with your family. That's how you build trust on social media. It's like showing up and doing everything you say you're going to do. So that's how you build trust. That's how I build trust with people that aspire to want to be great.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, no, you put that like perfectly. I haven't thought of it like that before. I know that's kind of, me and Devin work a lot with, trying to help people create consistent social media content. And that's kind of the hard part, is making it consistent. What kind of helps you stay with that consistency? Like how I guess like some tips or some tricks you have for other content creators that are struggling. Like how can you make sure you're creating consistent content?
That's the same struggles as everybody, like when I wake up, I'm like, oh, I do not want to post. But one of the things that has really been really powerful for me personally is when I feel like I'm in the mood to make content, I just make a bunch of content, so that when I don't feel like I'm in the mood to make content, I already have content that's already built that can just be posted. Yes. So yeah, that's the only way that I've been able to do it. Because there's definitely days where you wake up and you're like, oh my God, this is the last thing that I want to do. And when those days happen, we just go right back to the Rolodex of all the assets we've built, and we let those roll.
Awesome.
Oliver, there's something when you had that post, I can't remember the exact post, but you're like, hey, I've been complacent. I really just want to 10X. I want to like just explode on uploading these videos and on social media. I think a lot of people get intimidated with like even recording the first video. And I'd love to hear your story and your experience. It's not like one day you're like, oh, perfect video, this is Oliver. I bet you felt like this is my experience. I felt like an imposter, and my voice would change a lot to how I normally talk, where I'd like sit up straight. I try to have this like deeper voice. It's kind of embarrassing, right? Like, what was your experience when you started to record this content for yourself?
Yeah, when you're saying it, it's actually like getting me emotional, because I remember shooting the first video. And I'm like, oh my God, it made me like sick to my stomach, like seeing it. I was like, oh my God, like I talk like that, I look like that. It disgusted me. And it's like, until you start to like almost like love your content more than anybody loves your content, and like getting comfortable, like hearing your own voice, That's where like it starts to change. But like in order to get to that point, you gotta kind of go through the crazy emotional journey with it, and it's a lot of ups, a lot of downs with it. It's also interesting that when I was going through that situation, I was like really insecure, and like I was caring so much about what other people thought about me, and what people were gonna say, and what people were gonna like, how people were gonna perceive what I was posting. And then I realized that like, a lot of people were gonna watch, but then like a lot of people aren't gonna watch. Like a lot of people got so much stuff going on, like that your little post is like at the bottom of their list. And it's just like you got to just do it for you, and then everything else will come into place after that.
So there's a couple things that you mentioned. The first thing I want to talk about is confidence. When I first started recording video, like I did not feel confident. Again, I felt like an imposter. And I got this message yesterday, and it was really cool because I posted a video yesterday, and he said, "Hey man, it's been a few years, but like you have like really, you sounded so confident in that video, and you sounded natural, and it takes time to do that. Like it's like Oliver mentioned, it's scary. You start to feel insecure." But then also you got the other side too. There's people in this world that value that information. Like Oliver, like you're a client of ours. It's not like I can watch every single one of your videos, right? But when I do, they're super powerful, and I think about it the rest of the day. And sometimes like this is what a lot of people do. They'll watch the video. Maybe they don't like it. They don't comment about it, but it's in their head for the rest of the day of what they watched. I don't think people realize, like especially business owners, successful people like you, it's hard to realize like how much of an impact you're making, because sometimes it doesn't show the metrics, like what's going inside everybody's brain. So I love that you broke that down and, got personal with that, because it is scary to start recording content.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta, and you're probably are going to look silly the first 100 videos. I mean, I still look silly sometimes, but it's when you start to get confidence in looking silly that it becomes fun. Like I just post stuff for fun now, because like it's just like it is what it is. Like it's who I am right now. Like in the future, I hope to be better, but like it is what I am right now. And honestly, I'm happy with where I am, what I am right now. So I'm willing to share that. And I also heard somebody else say something that really impacted me a lot. And they said, if you imagine someone having the cure for cancer, and then them saying like, "Oh, I don't want to share it because I don't want people to think I'm stupid or think I'm laugh at me." Like that would be a terrible thing to have happen, right? So it's also a terrible thing if you got a solution for people to build wealth, if you got a solution for people to get in shape, if you got a solution for people to like change their life, for you to keep it. So like you got to put it out there, and you have to let it be known into the world, because you're really helping people at the same time.
Yeah. That's so awesome, man. I feel that a lot. Like sometimes I post some of the same stuff over and over again. I'm like, is anybody benefiting from this? Because like it's social media tips. Some of it is like well known, and then sometimes I'll get like a comment here and then like, wow, this is really cool. But because like you, especially for you, real estate investing so well, you're like, where do people even start off? Like for me, I wouldn't even know where to start or begin, but you have that knowledge and you're able to share it. And I think that's why you make a lasting impact, because you're not asking for anything. You're just giving this value to them without any ask. So it's really cool, man.
Another just question to throw in the ring. So why, we've been talking a lot about like building a personal brand. Why do you think that's kind of almost the standard today in like whatever business you're doing? I feel like that's changed in the last like 5 years. Why do you think a personal brand is so much more authoritative now than like a, like a corporation's brand?
It's a really good question. And my thought process is totally done a 180 on this. I grew up, and my dad would always tell me like, shut your mouth and go make money. Just shut your mouth and go make money. And when you do that, like your circle is really small, because you're not, telling people what you're doing. You're not promoting what you're going through, or what your challenges you're having, or the victories you're having. you really almost are contracted. And that was my thinking for so long. And it wasn't until I got a new mentor, and that was Grant Cardone, and he was basically saying, if people don't know you, they can't flow you. And he uses that in his personal development business, but like, how do I use that in my construction and real estate business? Well, like, if people don't know about my construction projects or the businesses that we're buying or the real estate that we're buying, they can't say like, hey, Oliver, I like the returns that you're getting on that stuff. I want to participate in that. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, I'm actually doing them a disservice, because I'm a good person. I'm going to do everything that I say I'm going to do, and I get results for people. Like the same way I've gotten results for my sisters and the real estate deals that they've invested with me on, I can get results for other people, but they will never know about it unless I promote it and tell people about it. So like, building that brand allows you to get out there and get in front of people and tell people how you can help them.
Wow. Awesome. That's powerful. That's awesome. Talon coming in with those good questions. We're coming to near the end of the episode. So Oliver, before we close, I want to ask, because I think it's good for everybody to know, first, what's your mission, and what is one ask you want to ask people to do in this podcast that's listening today? And then we'll throw out your social media and everything to make sure everybody can see it. But what is your mission, and what is one ask you want to ask people on this podcast to do?
That's a great question. So our mission, and my mission personally, and the mission of the organization, is to impact 1 million people's lives personally, professionally, and financially through quality construction and real estate. And when I say that, like, that used to that resonates so much with me, because it's not only the people that we're serving, but it's also my team, and building and growing with my team and impacting their lives personally, professionally, and financially, giving them an opportunity to check in and see how someone's literally going to build a $100 million business, seeing how someone's going to literally build a $1 billion business. And I feel like that's a great opportunity. The same way I feel like I'm like so grateful to have mentors in my life that are doing big things. I'm also offering that opportunity for my team members. And then we're going out there into the marketplace and offering real value. So yeah, our mission statement keeps me up at night and keeps me excited throughout the week. Even once we do get success, even when things are challenging, it keeps me fired up.
Awesome. And
the one ask, you did ask for the one ask. So like, if you're interested in investing in real estate and looking for double-digit returns on your investment, you can reach out to me at www.investwitholiver.com, and we can connect there.
It's awesome. And it's like Grant Cardone, what he preaches, right? Preaches the 10X rule. And like, that is a big goal, the million, right? And for us, like, ours isn't as big. Ours is 5,000 clients by 2025. Right now we have around 55 clients, but setting those goals is important, because it does keep you awake at night. Like, it gets you excited and keeps you motivated. But thanks again, Oliver, for hopping on. Talon, do we have his social media? Can we throw that up here real quick?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So if you want to follow Oliver at Oliver Fernandez _3, that's Fernandez with a Z at the end. Give him a follow. He has a lot of good tips on his social media. Of course, he wants to help you, his website as well. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks again, Oliver, for hopping on.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Storytime Podcast. Be sure to catch us next time to stay up to date with all the latest on content creation and social media. Also, subscribe to our trend reports at story.co/trend reports to get the latest trends in your inbox. We'll see you next time.
Storytime Podcast.